As a black man working during the 1930s, Crooks, son of mice and men, suffers terrible prejudice and loneliness working on the ranch. However, he is not the only isolated figure, far from it. Curley's wife is another who feels deeply unfulfilled with her life. Even though her title, Curley's wife, suggests she should be able to enjoy the company and companionship of a husband, whilst also hinting at the lack of a fulfilling personal identity, throughout the novel she is seen as deeply unhappy and isolated as she wanders around the ranch looking for someone to merely talk to. She first appears in part 2, heavily made up, dressed to impress, and says, "I'm looking for Curley." As a married woman living in a ranch which employs only men for manual labour, Curley's wife is naturally isolated, and this is accentuated by the period of time in which the novel is set. Work was incredibly hard to come by during the Great Depression, and the few jobs there were generally went to the men. And so a woman such as Curley's wife, with a husband but without children yet, would have very little to do with her time, plus very little money. Left alone with the other outsiders in the novel in part 4, Crooks, the black man, Candy, the old cripple, and Lenny, a man with the mental capabilities of a young child, she pours out her frustration at her unhappy, lonely life. She cries out in contemptuous frustration, "You bindle bums think you're so damn good. What do you think I am, a kid? I tell you, I could have went with shows. Not just one neither. Saturday night, everybody out doing something, everybody. And what am I doing? Standing here talking to a bunch of bindlestib, a nigger and a dum-dum and a lousy old sheep, and liking it because they ain't nobody else." Bindlestiffs were men without a home who wandered from place to place with their few possessions. Curley's wife feels disbelieving that her life has been so disappointing that she is now forced to seek out and actually desire the company of, in her mind, such losers. As a younger, more optimistic woman, she dreamt about appearing in shows and becoming a movie star. But the use of the past tense in "I could have went with shows," not "I can," not "I will," indicates that her dreams are over, and she is resigned to a miserable existence. Her frustration spills out over into her language. The repetition of "everybody" within the phrase "everybody out doing something, everybody," emphasises her feelings of exclusion at being different, separate to everyone else. The second "everybody" is in its own sentence with an exclamation mark to show her disbelief at what her life has become. Listless, boring, with not a soul she can genuinely communicate with. Where is her husband as she is saying these words? With a prostitute. Curley's wife in Of Mice and Men knows full well that she is isolated, separate, different. Sir Andrew Aguecheek in Twelfth Night, by contrast, has plenty of company and laughs with Sir Toby in particular, but doesn't realise that he is being used and ends the play suddenly isolated. He is first referred to in Act 1, Scene 3 of the play, when Maria describes him as a foolish knight that Sir Toby brought him one night here to be Olivia's wooer. Now, Sir Toby must know that his niece Olivia would never be interested in a relationship with someone as foolish and boneheaded as Sir Andrew, especially not in the near future, as she claims to be in intense mourning for the death of her brother. Would an intelligent countess such as Olivia with, according to the Duke's gentleman Valentine, a daily routine of, like a cloistress she will veiled walk and water once a day her chamber round with eye-offending brine, and a plan to mourn for 7 whole years, really be interested in receiving the attentions of a man whom her own gentlewoman has immediately dismissed as foolish? The simile compares Olivia to a nun and emphasises the intensity of her grief. She cries so much that she is effectively watering the ground of her bedroom with her tears. Yet Sir Toby has convinced Sir Andrew that he could have a romantic future with her, and his reasons for doing so are cynical and manipulative. It is because he has 3,000 ducats a year, which he is keen to help spend on drinking and general revelry. Although Sir Andrew is allowed to enjoy the engineered humiliation of Malvolio, he himself quickly becomes Sir Toby's next target to be ruthlessly mocked. In Act 3, Scene 2, Sir Andrew decides that he will leave Illyria, as he has realised that Olivia has no interest in him. He explains to Sir Toby and Fabian that he saw your niece do more favours to the Count's serving man than ever she bestowed upon me. Sir Andrew is referring to the fact Olivia has become very taken with who she thinks is Cesario, but is of course Viola in disguise. For a man of his status, a knight, this is a humiliating slight, and so he determines to waste no more time, money and self-confidence on the project. However, Sir Andrew is persuaded to stay by Fabian and Sir Toby, who argue perversely that Olivia is favouring Cesario simply to get a reaction out of him. Fabian cries, "She did show favour to the youth in your sight only to exasperate you, to awake your dormouse valour, to put fire in your heart and brimstone in your liver." The references to fire and brimstone suggest that Andrew needs to show far more testosterone, to display his passion far less passively, yet the deliberate malapropism indicates clearly to the audience that Fabian is, to use inappropriately informal language, blatantly taking the mick out of him. He refers to his dormouse valour. What he means is dormant valour, i.e. his great bravery which is currently lying beneath the surface and needs to be activated. By substituting dormouse for dormant, Fabian is comically comparing Sir Andrew to a small mouse-like creature and poking fun at both his unmacho character and his gullibility for being taken in by such a ludicrous theory. Sir Toby builds on Fabian's spade work and devises a plan which may well bring great enjoyment to himself, Fabian and the audience, but can only result in pointless potential injury and humiliation for Sir Andrew. He declares that Sir Andrew should challenge the court's youth to fight, hurt him in 11 places. My niece shall take note of it, and assure thyself there is no love breaker in the world can more prevail in man's commendation with woman than report of valour. Sir Andrew agrees to this plan and rushes off to write a challenge. On his departure from the stage, Sir Toby's real feelings towards him are revealed. Fabian, referring to Sir Andrew, says, "This is a dear mannequin to you, Sir Toby." To which Sir Toby replies, callously punning on the word dear to change the meaning from affectionate to expensive, "I have been dear to him, lad, some 2,000 strong or so." In modern day English, a mannequin is a large model of a human being, which is positioned to show clothes in the window of a shop, and this definition reflects the way in which Sir Toby has been able to model Sir Andrew to do exactly what he wants. Sir Andrew has not been allowed his own voice or opinions like an inanimate mannequin, and the privilege of being controlled by Sir Toby has been extremely expensive. It has cost him around 2,000 ducats, which Sir Toby has helped him spend. Earlier in the play, Sir Toby revealed to Maria that Sir Andrew had 3,000 ducats a year, and so during his stay in Illyria, he has managed to whittle away a whopping 2/3 of his income. But as well as spending his money, convincing him that he could be a future partner to Olivia and controlling what he does, both Sir Toby and Fabian love laughing at Sir Andrew's expense. In Act 3, Scene 4 of the play, Sir Andrew returns with a written challenge to fight to be delivered to Cesario. In Sir Andrew's absence, he sums up succinctly, "This letter, being so excellently ignorant, will breed no terror in the youth. He will find it comes from a clodpole." Cesario would not be remotely afraid of Sir Andrew based on the letter, because it is excellently ignorant. This oxymoronic phrase sums up Sir Toby's feelings towards Sir Andrew. He feels he is stupid, an idiot, a clodpole, has no knowledge about anything, and believes this is excellent, as it means he can serve as the butt of their jokes and schemes. However, it is only at the very end of the play that Sir Andrew realises that he is being used, that the people who he thinks have been his friends and helping him have been roaring with laughter behind his back, leaving him a rather pitiful, lonely figure. The plan for the effeminate-looking Cesario and Sir Andrew to fight goes wrong, with the appearance of Sebastian, Viola Cesario's identical twin brother, who is actually rather good at fighting, against the whole point of the plan, which is to get two useless fighters together. Sebastian injures both Sir Andrew and Sir Toby. Sir Andrew shows his true colours by loyally sticking up for his friend's fighting capabilities and offers to help him. He tells the general company on stage in Act 5, Scene 1 of the play, if he had not been in drink, he would have tickled Cesario other gates than he did. According to Sir Andrew, Sir Toby would have been able to deal with Cesario differently, other gates, if he hadn't been drunk, and says to his friend, "I'll help you, Sir Toby, because we'll be dressed together." This is a rather touching utterance, with the sweet solidarity of the pronoun we, and the suggestion they should be bandaged up at the same time. But it is a touching utterance which is brutally rejected, leaving Sir Andrew presumably bewildered, yet also finally aware of his friend's real feelings towards himself. Here's what Sir Toby says: "Will you help? An asshead, and a coxcomb, and a knave, a thin-faced knave, a gull." During Shakespeare's time, to be called an ass, a donkey, would have been a terrible insult. Hence Dogberry's hilarious outrage on being called this by Conrad in Much Ado About Nothing. Yet Sir Toby piles on insult after insult, also calling him a man who is foolishly too proud of his appearance, a coxcomb, a gullible fool, a gull, and totally unfairly, a dishonest man, a knave. Sir Andrew has no reply to this, and so it is left to both the audience and the individual actor playing the part to interpret his reaction. However, there is no doubt that any man would be deeply insulted by this barrage of insults following on from a friendly, simple gesture to help a friend out. Sir Andrew surely leaves the play finally enlightened about others' feelings towards himself, and will finally leave Illyria a much poorer financially and lonelier emotionally figure.